Are your Achilles killing you? Are you sick and tired of going for runs, doing workouts, just going about your day, walking, and feeling like your heels are on fire and just burning or red hot like the sun? I'm Doc John from Mobility Doc, and I'm going to show you how we at Mobility Doc would tell our patients, if you were our patient, how you from anywhere could get better from your Achilles pain. We're going to go over what Achilles tendonitis is, but most importantly, we're going to go over an action plan on what you can use to begin immediately to change your Achilles tendonitis. What I want you to get ready for is we are going to cover a few different ways to get this better. We're going to go through muscle flossing, muscle scraping, using a massage gun, foam rolling, a little bit of strength training, and then also a stretch that is really good for you. You don't have to have all of this. I'm going to show you what would be a complete thought on how to, in an entire package, get this better. But even if you can start with any of this or some of this, you are going to feel improvement. You can always work your way to pick up a few of these items along the way. And you are going to let us know how you're doing later. First, to get started, let's talk about Achilles pain. Now, the Achilles tendon is a thick tendon that attaches to the base of your heel. The idea is essentially that your Achilles, this entire cord, if we just think of it as a cord, is attached to this rock of muscle right here because it's probably tight. Your gastroc, and it is then anchoring down at the bone. So when all of this gets very tight, or when there's repeated stress and trauma into this cord, essentially all of this starts to pull it further and further and harder, and then eventually it can't withstand that tug, and it starts to inflame, it starts to get angry, it starts to hurt if unchecked. It could lead to things like an Achilles tear or rupture, partial or full. Like I said, we're going to get into what you can do to get rid of this, and watch to the end so that way you do not miss anything, because I promise you some of these you just have not seen yet. And if you have succeeded through your Achilles repair, or your Achilles healing, I should say, please let us know by commenting below, so that way we can help more people with your stories as well, and you could say it worked for you. And hopefully, if you're still looking for some new tricks and ways to help yourself, you'll find this helpful. Let us know your journey below as well. All right, so let's start with the idea of order of operations here. What I'd want to do to get the area ready before you start to use anything else is we want to get some warmth, some blood flow to the gastroc, Achilles, your soleus, the muscles of the calf, and that heel cord there. So you could do things that are a little bit more aerobically driven, but if your Achilles is already angry, it doesn't make any sense to go for a run or a walk or a jog. What you should do instead is use something like a massage gun. There's also massage rollers. These happen to be from Hyperice. It's what we use here in our clinic. It's what we sell. But generally speaking, it's what we found to just be the best at the best price point. But you're going to turn it on like so. And then I'll turn a little bit so it's easier to see. You'd just be sitting. You don't have to be standing like I am. And what you're going to do is you're going to spend about a minute, 2 minutes, just working around that tissue. Now, you want to make sure you cover as much of the Achilles as you can, but you don't want to go into like the pain cave. You don't want to push right on the hot spot. If your Achilles is very angry at you, you are not going to want to poke it right where it hurts, where it's most inflamed. So it's okay to not go right on the painful spot. You can go above it, around it, below it. You're going to make sure you also get into your gastroc here, right? Trying to move my hand around so I make sure you can see it more easily, but you can notice also how I grip the massage gun, right? You don't have to just hold it in a conventional way and turn. I like to hold it upside down too. I have like a loose grip through my hand. It's a nice thing about the Hyperice guns is that you have like a longer surface to hold onto, and it's pretty grippy. This is the Hypervolt Pro 2.0, by the way, if you're wondering. We'll link some of that below for you. So after I've spent about a minute working through my gastroc, working down along my Achilles, staying away from sharp pain, but you know, like trying to come close to it and allowing for some blood flow, you can go ahead and just turn that off. Little bit of a pro tip is I like to use the softer tipper head here. They have the different heads that are harder or pointier and like forked, but honestly, like this soft kind of plunger head works really well because it's gentle but gets the job done. I can already feel tingling and kind of warmth in my Achilles. It kind of tickles a bit, which means I have blood flow going, that hyperemia. That's what we need to get the process started, get blood flow. It's almost like non-invasive PRP and much less expensive. You can start to get blood into the area with the gun. So after you've started to get that going, what I would say is we would go into some foam rolling. Now again, this is a roller that also can vibrate. So if you have a roller that vibrates, you get 2 for 1 with this, but I'm gonna just stick to using it like a roller. So for foam rolling your calf, which we'll link a video that we've already made because we've made some of these individual videos for you to be helpful. But just generally speaking, you want to cover from as close to that painful spot as possible and work your way up along the calf. And what you're doing first, there's 2 parts. You're gonna scan or search, and then you're gonna hold. So we're not just pressing and guessing. You're gonna actually cover this entire surface of your gastroc, almost like this is a paint roller, this foam roller, and you're painting the back of your calf and making sure you don't miss any spots. So I am moving around. When I find spots that are pretty lumpy, like this spot right here, what I feel is like a hard knot, like I'm going over like a ball in that calf. You're gonna hold on that spot. If you want to get more pressure, you can kind of get just more, you get your butt up and you could take this other foot off and you could cross over. It's pretty painful, but if you're ready for it, go for it. What you can add to it also is you can point back and forth your toes. This is a great opportunity. This is like the pro tip for rolling your calf for your Achilles tendon or Achilles tendonitis, is to move the foot back and forth as you keep pressure down on your calf, and you could hit different areas. If you're holding one spot, you could hold it for about 30 seconds. If you're moving at the ankle, it's about 10 reps or so, nice and easy. The more weight you need on there, you can cross over, or you can let your butt down if it's a little bit too much. You don't need to go nuclear. It will get easier over time. You could also do this on both calves if you want, but if you're like, I only have one Achilles that hurts and I don't have a whole lot of time, you certainly should prioritize the side that you need in this case. So after you spend about a couple minutes or so on the one side, moving your ankle back and forth, working through, making sure you're pivoting and covering all that surface area, what we're gonna move into next is we are going to use one of my favorites, muscle floss. This one in particular is actually from Rock Tape. We'll make sure we add all this info, like I said. So if you're like, what are you using? Look at the info below. We will tell you what we're using. You just have to read. We have other videos on how we like to muscle floss that we can also share with you. But specifically for your Achilles issue, your Achilles pain, what you're gonna do is you can start by, let me turn around this a little bit. I'm gonna start just below the tibial tuberosity, or the point of my knee, and then you're gonna just lay one band around. And then once you've got one, then you start adding a bit of a pull. So now I have some ability and some surface area, like some grip on the other band. So I'm gonna rip and pull around and then pull. This should be pretty uncomfortable. If you're like, oh, I actually really love doing this, chances are you might not be doing enough. If you look at the back of my leg as I do this, you'll see I'm like really kind of covering my calf and squeezing, which is why I've got this like calf bulge happening. So I'm gonna keep rotating, and then what I'm gonna do is, as I get towards the end here, I'm going to, kind of like if I were to tie a balloon, I'm going to try to pull a spot up. Maybe come back a little bit. So I'm going to pull a spot up here, and I'm going to tuck underneath, and then good. So now I have this little part. What I'm going to do from there is a little bit of a calf stretch. So I'm going to show you the calf stretch that we're going to get to, but with the muscle floss band. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let my foot up on something like this dumbbell, I'm gonna put my body forward a little bit. I'm gonna push my knee back and forth. So I'm keeping my chest down as I come back and forth, just like so. I'm a little tight, so I'm getting a little clicking through here. I can feel it. If you feel some clicking, it's okay. But again, you wanna work that knee back and forth. After I've done about a minute of this, or maybe 10 to 15 reps, you should feel like this is so tight that you're starting to go a little numb. An easier one, if you don't have that dumbbell, is you can just come up and down in plantar flexion, or calf raise rather. So you can just come up and down like so. After I've done about a minute, let me get this out of the way. I'm going to pop this off. I can actually feel like my leg's getting super heavy, because with rock floss or with muscle floss, you are cutting off circulation for one. So when I take this off, I get this incredible amount of blood flow, or hyperemia, reperfusion of blood into the area. But then also what I'm doing is this floss is being wrapped around the muscle. And then the reason why it's tacking floss is because you're tacking down that muscle, tacking down that Achilles if I start a little lower, and then going through a motion. So just to do it one more time, I'm gonna go a little lower. Normally I'd roll this back up so that it's a little easier, but I can handle this. So I'm gonna start like mid-calf this time, just to get a little bit lower for you. So got one on there. Now I'm gonna come. So I'm just below the meat of my gastroc, working on getting lower and lower along my Achilles. This will be good. Getting my loop going, tucking underneath. Perfect. Again, stay off of the really hot spot, but come close to it, okay? So you can get pretty close to it. And then we could do that stretch that I just showed you, but we could do calf raises. Now I really feel this pulling through. Like I can really feel the gastroc working underneath the muscle floss band. So I've tacked it down, I'm flossing through, maybe do 10 reps, try to get to like 30 to 60 seconds. I tied this one pretty tight. So I could already feel this leg's getting heavier and heavier. You might see color changes in the foot itself. That's normal, as it gets fatigued. And if you start noticing you're like changing color in the limb, that actually just means it's time to take it off and move it around. So I've done obviously more than 10 calf raises, going a little bit longer just because I feel comfortable with it. I've worked this through, leg feels pretty heavy. I'm going to pick my foot up, I'm going to take this band off. Perfect. All right, so that is muscle flossing. You can go through 2 or 3 rounds of that. It kind of depends on how it feels. Remember, if you put this right on the spot that hurts badly, you might just create more inflammation. One of the things to keep in mind is with Achilles tendonitis or Achilles tendinopathy or just Achilles pain, if you wrap that Achilles too tightly on the spot that is angry, you might just be poking the bear and get it really angry. So we've done that. Now I want to cover muscle scraping. So Sidekick is our preferred company. We use these personally inside of our clinic, but we also provide these or sell these within our practice. We are going to put a link within our description and info. If you are not using some form of muscle scraping, then you are missing out on a huge opportunity, whether you're injured or not injured. This is even a great recovery tool. There are options. We also have a video on how to decide which muscle scraper you should use. I'm using the stone version that they sell at Sidekick. In the clinic, I actually use the steel version, but both are okay, and we go through our pros and cons in the video, which we again will add into all this. But again, I'm gonna bring my leg up. I would put a little bit of cream on here, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna work on scraping around that Achilles. It'd be easier if I were seated, but it'd be harder to show you. So what you can do is you have all these different surface areas to choose from, right? So if I want to use a pointier spot, I could actually just turn this around and work along the inside or outside in this case, or inside of my Achilles. I could go right on the back of it. you're gonna apply enough pressure to take the slack out of it, and then going up and down. So if I turn this way and I'm seated a bit, just so I can get into it a little bit easier, what I'm gonna do is apply some pressure, and then I'm gonna work back and forth just like so. Remember, to make this successful, you need to spend at least about a minute or two working through this Achilles, but you need to also apply enough pressure. Not too much. You shouldn't be black and blue. I've seen those videos. Those are not right. You're causing tissue damage. You don't want to damage it further. But what you are doing is you're breaking up adhesions, you're increasing blood flow and circulation, you're improving healing. Most importantly, possibly, you want to make sure you cover all the way up into the calf, all the way down that Achilles. Like, you don't want to shortchange the surface area. So remember, this Achilles pain, your tendonitis, your tendinopathy, the issue is that there is like a lower leg problem. There is too much tension or not enough strength, like not enough flexibility. We're working through all of this with all of these different tools. But if you only focus right on the tendon that hurts, you're missing all of the parts that are causing your problems. So important lesson, do not only go where it hurts, work around it so that way you don't miss anything. So after you've muscle scraped, what we're going to do next is we're going to stretch. So we stretched a little bit with the rock floss band, the muscle floss band, but you still could do it again, because the idea is we've loosened up the area, broken up adhesions, increased blood flow and circulation. Now you want to really take advantage of that and start to finally introduce some new length in that super tight heel cord. My favorite that I already alluded to is going to be, you need something to get that foot up, right? So I'm going to use this weight so that way I can bring my toes up, and then you're going to lean forward. I'm going to use this bench just to take a little bit of the challenge out of me leaning forward. And then your body weight's going to be right over top of this leg. This back leg is just kind of there. So I'm getting a little stretch in my ankle just because I'm pushing my knee forward over top of my toes. And then I'm going to work that knee back and forth just like this. I feel that pull more so in the back of my calf through here. You might even see some of that tension coming up. And again, because your calf is ultimately the group of muscles that form that Achilles tendon and attach into that heel, you're stretching through this to loosen up that Achilles. You can work through here to get the pain out of down there. So you're going to do about 10 reps pushing that knee back and forth. My chest stays down. After I've done that, I'm going to shake it out a little bit. Then you'd repeat. You would do about 2 to 3 rounds of it, depending on timing, depending on how much improvement you're getting. Remember, it's very important to have the front of your foot up. You could use like a yoga block or a step or something that's wedged. And then you want to make sure you're getting that knee forward over your toes to get a little ankle stretch. And then you're going to push that knee back and forth while keeping your chest low. If you're really flexible and you can go all the way down to the ground, go ahead. But if you can't move your knee much because you're too far down, come up a little bit, and then you'll be able to move that knee, and then you can work yourself all the way down to the ground. All right, 2 or 3 sets of that. Last but not least, we've improved blood flow and circulation. We've broken up adhesions. We have improved the length, the resting length and tone of our calf and our heel cord, our Achilles. Now, what would be left would be strengthening. And I want to isolate that Achilles and teach it to feel better, teach it to not overreact and inflame and go to the dark side every time I'm trying to use it, like run or play soccer or pickleball, whatever it is you want to do, whatever your poison is. So you could use weight, but you don't have to. Say we wanted to improve that tension, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I like to do calf raises, but more of the negative form of the calf raise. So we're going to come up, and then what I'm going to do is bias over to the side that I'm focusing on, and then I'm going to lower myself down. Now, if you have a lot of pain in this, you need to be careful that you don't overdo it. But what you can do is you can kind of come up on this right side, which is my good side, right? Then come over to my left, still share some of my body weight on my right, and lower down. So these calf raise negatives are an excellent way for retraining your calf and your Achilles tendon to act appropriately when there's load. If you wanted to, I could be on stairs and I could lower my heel even lower. That would be another way of kicking this up a notch. The deeper I go down with my heel, the more challenge in the muscle and the tendon I'm gonna get. You do about 10 reps of these, maybe 2 to 3 sets. If you're first starting, I would just exercise a little bit of caution, so that way you don't just really anger that Achilles. For those of you who are just have a history of Achilles pain, you can be a little bit more aggressive on your sets and on your reps or the time that you're holding or the pressure you're using. But if you're currently stuck in a pretty painful state with your Achilles tendon, whether you have Achilles tendonitis, Achilles tendinopathy, or you just feel tight and it's inflaming, you should just do a set or 2 of most of what I'm showing you, and then over the course of a week, increase what you're doing. And the goal would be for this routine to maybe take you about 20 minutes. For those of you who are really trying to get over your Achilles problems, your Achilles pain, what you want to do is you really want to get as much of this as you can, do as much of it as possible, and spend about 20 minutes every single day working on this. When you're in more of a maintenance mode, you could play around with what you can get away with. So what I would do is I'd wean it away instead of stopping completely cold, and maybe do like a couple days or a few days a week, get that on a couple days a week, and then at the very least, you might be just doing bits and pieces of this every time you work out, so that way you don't miss anything, all right? We went over quite a bit, but all of this is really important. I hope you found this useful. Many of you probably have not seen bits and pieces of this before, or maybe we're missing some key parts. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them below. Like, subscribe, share. If you have something that you could contribute to what I've just said, please don't hold back, put it in the comments. This is meant to be like more of a culture of movement. We want to be a facilitator of people or for people to never stop doing the things they love to do. I'm Doc John from Mobility Doc. For more information, check out our website. If you need to contact us more directly, you can find that on there. We can even create one-off programs for you and tell you exactly what to do. Or you could do like a virtual consult if you like. Whether we help you by just giving you all the information, or if you need more and need a more direct line with us, we are here for you. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching.